Welcome back to Bet It, Bank It, Blow It. I'm Jamie G, and I'm here with Magnum Mills to talk NFL wagering for the Week 3 Sunday games, the main slate. Mills, I don't know how you top that Giants-Cowboys game from last week, but something crazier is probably going to happen in Week 3, right?
I mean, maybe it's me rooting for the Cowboys for the second week in a row. That just felt dirty. It was more of a survivor thing that I needed the Cowboys to win last week. But yeah, like it's at least Russell Wilson. There is some things that just are going to happen that you can set your watch by, including another episode of Bet It, Bank It, Blow It. Thanks again for checking out the show. We are presented by Seize the Gap Fantasy Football. Find our content wherever you get your pods and on YouTube, on social media at Seize the Gap FF, and on the web at seizethegapff.com. Try to keep it nice and easy to remember, just like the flaps, FLAPS. Follow, like, and please subscribe. If you had fun, please touch the thumb. And you should know, while we are not affiliated with the DraftKings Sportsbook, we are getting our odds and wagers there. Everything is accurate as of Thursday, September 18th, 2025. Yes, we are already running out of September. And you should know, here on Bet It, Bank and Blow It, our preferred currency is the Cricket coin. So all of our wagers will be in Cricket coins. In cricket, we trust for some reason. And we can spend here all day saying what we think about cricket, but I think it's probably more useful to talk about what we think of this slate of games we've got here on Sunday, week 3. Jamie G, are you feeling good? We got a couple of big favorites, and we don't have to talk about your Buffalo Bills. So we got the biggest favorite off the board. So that is safely off the way. We're not talking about that right now. But are you feeling good about Green Bay here? They've looked awesome, 8.5-point favorites traveling to Cleveland. You think this is a spot where they're going to keep it up, or is this maybe like this is a letdown game? Is a little bit of a trap game for them? Any worries about the Packers here?
Well, first game on the road, right? They've been home twice and have played very well at home. I think there's always the possibility for that letdown trap game. They beat a couple of really good football teams, but I expect them to take care of business. I think it would be really hard to see a path for Cleveland to win this one. I don't know that they'll cover, but I expect them to take care of business.
What do you think's more likely? Green Bay wins by double-digit points, or Dylan Gabriel sees snaps for the Browns?
It's almost like if one's true, the other's true, kind
Right.
of,
It was a little
right?
bit of a trick question there. There was definitely a positive correlation, but I feel like, I mean, we saw that with the Ravens. I just feel that's who the Browns are. Maybe they can hang around in the first half or so, but I feel at some point Flacco's going to turn it over, take a big sack, something like that, and Green Bay is going to do what they do. They've been pretty damn efficient for the past couple of
Yeah.
seasons, and now it seems like their personnel has just put them in a position to level up, both from adding Parsons, and they're the youngest team in the league. All these guys are just, developing now finally, and it's not always, a straight line for development. So it looks like I think the Packers could be for real, though. I think that's what we're saying, kind of, right? They really looks like, I
Absolutely.
mean, I think they just surpassed the Eagles as the chalk to win the NFC. So it's not like we're going really far out on a limb here. You know what I mean? This seems to be the general consensus of the public. And then the other one's a little bit scary because you got scary Sam. Sam Darnold. Seahawks are 7-point favorites at home against the Saints. The Saints have been bad, maybe not horrifically bad, but there's still a lot of season left here. They've also played their first two in the confines of the Superdome there, traveling to Seattle, a notoriously tough place to play for opponents. You think that the Seahawks are taking care of business this week? Are we going to see a good Sam, or is it going to be, God damn it, Sam?
I think either way, I think we'll probably see them walk away with the victory, and I think it'll be I think it's more leaning towards a good Sam, just because New Orleans defense, while they're a proud bunch and they're a veteran bunch and they're still got a little bit of gas in the tank, they're not playing in the dome in New Orleans this week, right? They're traveling across country to Seattle. I expect Seattle to be able to shut them down on offense and do enough shut down the Saints offense and do enough offensively against that defense to win this game. 7 seems like a lot, but I think in the end, I think they probably get there.
I think they probably do too. The Saints just strike me as a team where the longer we get into the season, the further we get into the season, the more reality is going to set in. Those first couple weeks, everybody's 0-0, right? Everyone's got some hope. They get 0-3 here. I think it's going to just, again, be a tougher hole for them to dig themselves out of mentally because they're already at a talent deficit to most of the rest of the NFL. Which of these divisional underdogs do you think is the most likely to pull an upset here? We have Carolina, 5.5-point dogs at home against the Falcons. Tennessee, 4.5-point home dogs versus the Colts. Texans are 1.5-point road dogs traveling to Jacksonville. Denver's 2.5-point dog traveling to the Chargers. And then you have Arizona Cardinals, 3-point dogs traveling to San Francisco. I've been back and forth on this one, man. It's really close. I think I'm probably leaning towards Houston, I guess, just because I think that defense could create a lot of turnovers, finally maybe win a game for them. They've been competitive. They had their chances against the Rams and Bucks despite not winning one, whereas Jacksonville seems like more likely to kind of piss it away in the final moments. It's not a heavy lean, but I think there's a slight chance of upset in all of these. But if I had to pick the one I feel the strongest about, I'd probably be going with the Texans here. How about yourself?
Yeah, this is a tough week to find a dog. I mean, it's a real tough week to find a dog. I've been looking all week. Agree with you on Houston. I think outside of that, I want to go Arizona so bad, Mills. I really do, but I just don't think I can get myself there. The one I'm actually looking at outside of Houston, and people are going to think I'm crazy here. Jamie G, what are you doing? You're nuts. I'm actually looking at Denver. And here's why. The Chargers are gonna lose a game eventually. They're not. I don't think they're gonna go 17 and 0. They played two big primetime games in a row against two good teams. Well, two teams that played them tough a little bit, and I just think there's a little bit of a letdown here. Denver's defense, I think, is going to be the best defense the Chargers have played so far. And while Denver was atrocious on offense virtually 2 weeks in a row, and Bo Nix looks to taking a serious step back, something tells me this could be a little bit of an upset alert. So Houston's my first choice, and then I think my second choice here would be Denver. I want to take Arizona. I just don't know that I can.
It's funny. I started the week out in Arizona, and as it's gone along, as I rewatched that game against the Panthers, and they've just been absolutely horrific at rushing the ball. They've been horrific at converting third downs. There's a lot of holes to poke here. They basically had the easiest possible schedule to start the season. The 49ers were good enough with Mac Jones. I've always thought with the 49ers, they would get maybe worse as the season progresses, basically due to the injury risk. You've seen a lot of these guys on their team struggle with the injuries over the years, and especially big pieces like McCaffrey and Joe and Nick Bosa on the other side of the ball. So I'm kind of more in the middle there. Denver was second for me, man. It's one of those things at the end of the year. If Denver wins this game, we'll look back right now. Denver will technically be leading the AFC West if they win this game. They'll be 2-1, just like the Chargers, with the head-to-head tiebreaker ahead of KC by at least a game, and everyone will forget all of this. You know what I mean? It's almost a free pass to start the season if they can win this game because you know what I mean. Everyone's on equal ground again. They're basically starting, from an even platform with the Chargers with a little bit of the tiebreaker in hand, and then the Chiefs still behind them. So I think this could work out for Denver. As poorly as they've played, especially on offense, being sloppy with the ball, they're still in a pretty good spot here. Things could be much, much worse. You look at Kansas City, and they're in such a far, far more precarious position.
Absolutely. And dude, and all the money, all the pressure, I think, is on the Chargers in this one too. I know it's only week three and we talk about pressure, but I think Denver can kind of slip in here under the fuck you, throat. I think Denver can kind of slip in here under the radar a little bit and maybe steal one.
Yeah, I definitely think that's possible. Again, that's what these divisional matchups are. And we're not the only ones here. You go around, you read a little analysis, and everyone is this is a week where there could be a bunch of upsets in these close games. Like they really are kind of coin flipping them. So it's going to be an interesting approach to your fantasy leagues, your wagering, everything this week. And of course, to make it even more complex, we've got some backup quarterbacks in the mix. Tyrod Taylor officially in for the Jets, 7-point dogs traveling to the pirate ship in Tampa. The Jets defense is better than they've played. I've been again doing some reading, and it really sounds like what's happening here is they're just trying to adjust to the new scheme. This is similar talent to the defenses they've had the past couple of years that have been pretty good. They have an elite player on every level of the defense, but they are just not really cohesive right now in terms of the scheme. That does not bode well against the Bucks offense. They can definitely put points on the board. So I'm not necessarily thinking Tyrod's going to lead them to the upset, but it would not surprise me at all if they can keep it within 3-4 points, something like that. Are you feeling any love for Tyrod Taylor here?
I am. Well, and as a former Bills fan, I appreciate Tyrod. He doesn't have the pop and the juice he once had, but he can still be effective with his legs. He is a steadying, calming voice in the huddle, and I think he's just seen a lot, been there a lot, and I don't expect him to make the big mistake. Not that Justin Fields is prone to making the big mistake, although he did turn the ball over a couple times against the Bills. I think Tyrod Taylor doesn't throw that critical pick, is smart with the football, doesn't force it, and still has a little bit of juice with his legs. That said, Tampa Bay has been absolutely wild. It has been full-blown bake show, dude, to watch. They've won two games with late minute heroics as the wire came down in the game and won a game at the end. they could just as easily be 0-2. So I do have a little bit of love here. Wait, let me rephrase that as Bills fan. I do think the Jets could potentially cover here and maybe even sneak one. In the end, Tampa Bay probably wins, but 7 points is a good bit for to lay. So I think I'm probably if I had to pick one, I'm on the Jets side of things with the points this week.
Yeah, it's at the magic seven right now. The seven, 7.5. As soon as you get down to 6.5, six, I'm going to have a far less interest there. A backdoor coverage certainly on the board. The Jets are going to be, they're a new coach, new staff, new younger players. They're trying to really kind of prove something here. So yeah, we'll see if Bad Baker shows up, turns the ball over twice. Anything is possible. You can say that about a lot of quarterbacks, but we've seen Baker do it in the past, and the Jets defense does have some ball hawks out there. They can get to the passer, so that could certainly be a thing. How are you approaching the Commanders this week as we record this on Thursday? Mariota is getting the real reps, but Jay Daniels is taking those very classic mental reps. I'm not sure he's going to play here. I don't know. Maybe if this was the marquee game against the Eagles for possible control of the division or something, possibly they put him out there. I just don't know if the stakes are like that with the Raiders. So I feel like this 3 point line is already kind of baking in the decent possibility that Daniels misses the game. How are you feeling about this one?
I think it definitely is. I had this game at -7, maybe -6.5 for Washington with Daniels. With Marcus Mariota, I think it's probably about right. I liked it when it was +3.5 on the on the Raiders side before that. But I think that even with Mariota, and people might think I'm tripping here, and maybe I am, but I think even with Mariota, I think they can win this football game against the Raiders. The Raiders offense just hasn't been able to be effective for 60 minutes of football. The run game hasn't been there yet. We'll see if Genti can get going. And I think there's enough playmakers on offense for Washington. We all know there's no replacing Jaden Daniels. There's going to be a drop off, but Marcus Mariota does have a little bit of spark. He can run the football. He's solid enough for a game or two, and I think he can get the win here against the Raiders.
For a game or two is the key phrase in that sentence. There are, some quarterbacks who can handle being in there for 4 to 6 games or something like that. Mariota, yeah, you've got about 1.5 games before the pumpkin turning happens, but he can do that here. They just have to show a willingness to use his legs. Could be the big bust out game for our guy Bill. Maybe this is the game where the Commanders just go all in on the running backs to a certain degree and just try to set everything up off the run. Get Debo moving a little bit and just try to take a couple of shots to McLaurin here and there. Maybe it's a big week for Ertz. If Mariota's in there, do you think there's any one guy that's going to get, maybe a slight uptick in passes? Sometimes we see, the backup quarterback goes to the guy he worked with on the practice squad. Maybe that's Jalen Lane here. Could it be an Ertz game? I mean, there's no Eckler, right? So the safety blanket's kind of gone out of that backfield. From a prop standpoint, I'm kind of curious as to where I might go within that game because I don't know if I want to mess necessarily with the sides as much, but I think you could probably find some value on that Commander's offense if you can kind of figure out how it's going to work, right?
Yeah, my guess is it's probably not going to be the Terry McLaurin game. If depending on how they use Debo, if they utilize him in the rushing game, they utilize him in the screen game, you could see a Debo game. But I would look a little bit further down the roster here. I think Ertz is in line for it. Maybe the backup tight end as well. I think you can kind of dive
Was
down
Ben
and
Sinnott touchdown game, dude? Is it the Ben Sinnott touchdown game? I mean,
it
that'll
could
be
be,
like plus
man.
900 or something like that. I tell you that. That'll be long right there, just for
Could.
fun.
I mean, but I think they'll scheme them up. I mean, they'll scheme up enough with those playmakers, I think, and I think they'll utilize his legs. And he certainly can do that.
Is there any way on the planet you can really mess with the Bengals and Vikings game with two backup quarterbacks facing each other? I mean, these are two teams that have been kind of pretty inconsistent through 2 weeks, anyways. Now with backup quarterbacks, I don't know. This might be just like this is like a just have fun in your DraftKings showdown lineups kind of game or something like that. I don't know how much I want to mess with the wagering, other than I'm pretty sure that Jamar Chase is going to get his, and that the Bengals will still put the ball in the air. But outside of that, it feels like anything could happen in this one, right?
Yeah, it does. I think I have more comfort on the Cincinnati side of the house just because Browning's played under this head coach with this team, not just last week, but in prior years here. So I don't think they're going to change much about what they do on offense and what the game plan is going to be. That said, Minnesota's defense really needs to respond after a terrible showing last week against Atlanta. So they really need to respond here. I think it could be a big Chase Brown game. We saw the success that Bijan and Algier had running the football against that super aggressive defense in Minnesota. They're going to want to try to affect the quarterback, being that it's a backup. I think the best answer to that is a quick passing game and Chase Brown. So that kind of gives me a little bit of comfort there. No idea what to expect with Wentz. None. He's either going to look horrible and they're going to get beat by 30, or he'll return to form and play well. No idea what Minnesota's going to look like.
Yeah, Carson Wentz, he's got about 4 quarters and then maybe 6 quarters before the again the pumpkin turning happens there. In this game, combined interceptions under over 2.5. What do you got?
Over.
I think I want to know. I almost set it at 3.5, but it's one where you'd have to play with the juice on each side. But both of these quarterbacks are going to put it out there, so it should also benefit Justin Jefferson a little bit. For what it's worth, Carson Wentz is going to go out there and sling it. He is at this point playing every game like it's last because it really could be his last game. So it's going to be an interesting one to watch. Put it that way. It's going to definitely make the display on the Sunday ticket or whatever for me. It's definitely going to get some close attention. And I'm going to have to pay close attention to my Eagles because they are scaring me. They're 3.5 point favorites at home against the Rams. This is a rematch we saw from the playoffs last year. The Rams really did give them a pretty good game, so that was far from a far gone conclusion that this was going to be, the Eagles being a big favorite here. I just feel like the Eagles remind me a lot of the Chiefs last year. They keep winning these games early that they really probably shouldn't win. They're not playing great. They just somehow seem to do just enough and be in the right position at the end of the game to pull it off. And there's something to be said for that. I mean, a win is a win is a win. Yet it just feels like sooner or later, like, you know what I mean? One bounce isn't going to go their way or something like that, more or less. Eventually, you're going to have to like throw a ball to a receiver inside the hash marks further than 10 yards down the field. You're going to have to do it at some point. I know the Eagles are trying to be the first team in history to win without really using the forward pass, or at least in the past 30 years or so. But I don't know, man. I mean, this one scares me a lot. But the last 2 weeks have scared me, so I don't know if I can be an unbiased observer here. What do you think about my Birds' chances this week?
I think in the end they probably win a close one by a point or two, but I'm on the in Mills. I'm on the plus 3.5 side. If this was plus three, I would just completely stay away. But the fact that we're getting the hook here at plus 3.5, look, the Rams, they gave the Eagles everything they could handle in that playoff game in the snow with what I think was a better Eagles defense than it is today. Now, I think the Eagles defense can get to that same level as the season goes on, but they're trying to figure out, and Fangio's trying to figure out, how do we manage with one really great corner and one really good safety and one below average corner and one below average safety. And they're trying to figure out how all that works. The Eagles, from top to bottom, probably are a more talented team roster wise. I expect them to win this game, but I think the Rams can cover this plus 3.5. I think this could come down to, a point or 2 point game here on a last minute score.
I'll tell you one thing that's not going to happen again. The Eagles are not going to win a game where Saquon Barkley has 80 or less rushing yards and they have like 60 or less receiving yards to their wide receivers, excluding Jahan Dotson, excuse me. You know what I mean? If you're not getting anything above average from Saquon and still getting nothing from Brown and Smith, you pretty much have to play flawlessly otherwise, which is what's happened more or less.
Unless Hurts can get 60 yards and 2 touchdowns rushing.
Right, but I mean that's not like a prolific offense or anything. That's literally just kind of picking up the scraps. So that's what just scares me, man. It feels like they're playing roulette, just like the Chiefs last year, and it seemed to keep happening. Fumbled snaps and calls from the ref, and it all seemed to work right. Yes, it's nice when your team wins. A win is a win is a win, but still, I'm not so proud or have so much hubris that I'm gonna say like the Eagles are destroying teams or something like that. They very easily could have lost each of their first 2 games, so I don't want to take it for granted. And then there are 2 games I'm having a tough time with here. You have the Steelers at the Patriots. Both of these teams have shown a little bit of everything over the first 2 weeks. I suppose at the end of the day, the Steelers still have more talent and, Aaron Rodgers, whatever, it is what it is. I know people were throwing out that Tomlin's had a bad record against the Patriots, but he is 3-0 against Vrabel. So I guess that one kind of splits both ways. So at the end of the day, to pick 'em league or something, I'm probably going with Pittsburgh here. But for the most part, I don't know if I'm doing anything with this game. I have a bit of interest maybe in the Jalen Warren props. Outside of that, it's not one I have a ton of interest in. I'm curious to see who wins, but like from a wagering and fantasy standpoint, this is kind of a stay away, right?
It is. I don't have a ton of interest in this. I think Pittsburgh probably gets it done. I just expect them to, uh, veteran team, more talent on both sides of the football. I expect them to kind of be able to figure that out and win this game. I think the line's about right. But yeah, I'm probably not really approaching this one.
This is the Steelers defense has to wake up in this one. I mean, even the Miami defense had a little bit of success against the Patriots last week. I mean, if they can't do anything here, then you have to be, it's like a five-alarm fire for the Steelers then, right? If they go into New England and the Patriots put up 28 points on them or something like that, you got to worry then. So I think this is a good week for the Steelers. Bounce back. You get it to Jalen Warren. You don't make Rodgers do too much. You know, he has his nice little 220 yards, two touchdowns. Take care of business, and then maybe the Patriots will start using Travion Henderson again someday. But until then, you go, Antonio Gibson. And then we have Dallas at Chicago. I feel kind of like you do with the Steelers there. I think Dallas wins this one. They can put points up on the board, and I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on in Chicago there. I think things might have to get even worse before they eventually get better there. I'm not sure that Chicago's quite scraped the bottom here. You know, meanwhile, Dallas, they can win this one. They're 2-1 all of a sudden. You know what I mean? And they almost beat the Eagles week one. So maybe the house isn't on fire after trading Micah Parsons. How are you feeling about this matchup in Chicago?
I'm probably higher on Dallas winning this one than most. The only thing that worries me is this is the perfect setup for a get right Chicago offense game. The Dallas secondary is absolutely atrocious. Kiara Lam, who the Bills drafted horrifically in the first round, over Trent McDuffie, which I'm still sick over. They traded him away to Dallas this offseason. He's been absolutely atrocious. He was so bad last week. I think he's giving up the most out of any corner in the league right now. I worry about Dallas's ability to stop a passing game. I just don't know that Chicago has enough coordination and ability to attack it. It's right there for the taking. And so for that reason, I'm going to go with Dallas because I think Dallas offensively is going to be able to score points on most defenses, and Chicago included.
I mean, there's bad decisions, and then there's in overtime choosing to cover Malik Neighbors one-on-one with Kyer Elam and no safety help over the top in overtime. I yeah, I saw I couldn't I'm like, well, that's not you mean Kirillam? You know, I'm like, wait, yeah, that's probably like what they surely they're doubling, surely they're rotating the safety.
You have
Like,
to.
no, like you just I know maybe you can play a little man, but oh man, dude, he was like against Malik Neighbors. I mean, he got roasted by Wandale Robinson. His depth of target was like a career high by such a dramatic amount here. It was insane. He's almost always used on that short stuff, man. And here he was just he's got the athleticism to do it. He's just never been used that way before. So, you know, everyone was having their turn there. So whatever. That's Jerry's. We'll see how Jonathan Mingo does if he ever gets back in there. Go ahead and Trey Lance was great. So keep trading for those former early picks, Jerry. It's working out real well for you. So go, Jerry.
Every season, the Westgate in Las Vegas hosts their NFL Super Contest, and here we host our SupaFly contest. No, we're not playing for the big bucks, but still manage to stay fly. Each week, we pick our 5 favorite spread wagers based on the odds being used in the Westgate contest. Mills, how did we do last week?
Oh, it's probably go ahead and play the Price is Right song. We did bad. We both went 1-4. I missed on Dallas, Arizona, Tennessee, and Denver. Hit on New England. You missed on the Jets, the Cowboys, the Jaguars, the Broncos. You hit on the Falcons. You did get hooked on the Jaguars game. You lost by the .5. So on the season, you're 1-2 for the cool breeze. You've been hooked badly twice. You won by the hook once. I'm 0-1 on the hook, and we were both 3-7 overall. So I'll just go first here. We'll give the picks and then we'll kind of go back through, see where we're the same, see where we're different, that kind of thing. Starting off, I'm going to take those Commanders -3 points at home versus the Raiders. I'm going to keep the faith with Green Bay -7.5 traveling to Cleveland. Going to take Dallas -1 at Chicago, Indianapolis -4 at Tennessee, and San Francisco -2.5 versus the Cardinals. That was kind of the last one I was bouncing on there. Chance Purdy plays, but Mac Jones looked good enough last week. I think they can get it done. JBG, who are you staying fly with this week?
Yeah, I'm taking a little bit of a different approach this week. I got to get some better results here. I'm going to take Atlanta -5.5 at Carolina. That's going to be the highest spread that I take this week. I'm taking the Rams +3.5 at Mills, Philadelphia Eagles. I'm taking Dallas -1 at Chicago, just like Mills. I'm taking Indiana Jones and the Colts here, -4 at Tennessee, just like Mills. And I'm going to go ahead and take Pittsburgh -1.5 at New England.
Well, I guess we know that Daniel Jones is going to at least be the starting quarterback through October because the NFL needs him. When everyone dresses up in their costumes for that Halloween Sunday, he's got to wear the hat with the whip and everything, right? I mean, that's too.
Got
So
to.
he has to be the starting quarterback for that long just so we can have him do the Indiana Jones costume, I think. So if you have some kind of wagering where you're betting on, when he'll turn back into a pumpkin, he might. I mean, it'd be perfect, right? He turns back into a pumpkin on Halloween. I think this stuff kind of writes itself. We just talked about Dallas. We both like a -1 here. I don't know that I would be getting there at 2.5 or something like that, but it feels like at the end of the day, if the Cowboys have the ball last, all they need to do is get it within about 80 yards. Brandon Aubrey will kick the field goal. We've seen that story before. As far as
And
the
Mills,
Colts,
well, one thing I just want to say on that too is when you playing the Westgate, I think the strategy needs to be finding the best number. If we're getting basically a money line number here and we believe the team's going to win, I think it's an auto pick. And so and so that's the reason why at -1, I just couldn't stay away from Dallas. So I think at the end of the day, they find a way to win this game, and we're getting it basically at a money line. So to me, I had to do it.
right, and that's why we go off the card that they use there because otherwise it's just at what point in time are you picking the numbers because they will change. So sometimes because the numbers stay static, you do find an edge when they move. So yeah, I mean, and those are almost a free square sometimes if it's a big one with an injury or something like that. There's nothing that egregious on the board here. But same thing, I'm cheating a little bit, with the Commanders and 49ers because there's a chance that Daniels and Purdy play, and that's not really baked into that line too much. So that was kind of why I'm thinking on those little ones on the closer to the edge there. We're both on the Colts. For me, it's not just that Daniel Jones has been shockingly good. That offensive line looks better than I thought. Jonathan Taylor's healthy. Defense has been competent. The coaching has been very, very good. In Tennessee, just not have much talent, and they take a lot of bad penalties. They're working on something there, man, but they're extremely thin, especially on offense. So at the end of the day, I think if the Colts can basically just get up over 20 points, they're in pretty good shape. I'd love it to be 2.5 or 3 points here, but I can live with the four. Why were you rolling LaFours there with the Colts?
Yeah, same reason. I mean, all the same things that you said. I think Tennessee, while they're building peaks, they haven't built them yet. But I think they're going to be okay in the long run. Indianapolis has just played way better than I thought. The coaching's been off the charts, and they haven't had the big mistakes out of Daniel Jones, and it's been good enough. And I think as long as they do that, they'll find a way to win this game.
Yeah, you don't want to jump on the bandwagon too early, but every year we do see surprising teams, so there is some value in trying to make a call. I'm not going to say here the Colts are going to do what the Commanders did last season, but they could certainly win the AFC South at this point. There's no reason to think they can't win 10 games or something like that. I'm not saying they're going to go to they'd have to go through the gauntlet to get to the AFC Championship, but right now things are going well for them. Will he turn back into a pumpkin at some point? Quite possibly, but we are not there yet. I already talked a little bit before about the Commanders. Again, I think we just think that they're the better team than the Raiders. If you have the Ashton Jeanty breakout game or the absolute Brock Bowers smash, they could certainly win. But otherwise, I think the Commanders can kind of do enough to get that one done. Anything else you'd like to say about the Rams? You're taking 3.5 here. You said that was mostly a function of the number, so you're probably not going there at 2.5, right? So it's probably needed to be 3 or above, more or less, to take the plunge.
100%. But when I see the 3.5 and when I see the Rams and how well they played Philadelphia last year, they had a chance at the end of the game driving the football to win. I mean, they did, right? And so, and I think Philadelphia was a better team, at least a better defense at that point. So things are different this year. It's a new year, but I like the Rams' ability to exploit some of the issues in the secondary that the Eagles have. If the Eagles line holds up against this Rams pass rush and doesn't force, and if Philadelphia can get a run game going and doesn't force the game to be put on Jalen Hurts' shoulders, I think Philadelphia will win and cover. But I'm betting on the Rams defense being able to kind of limit the run, make him win this game with throwing the football and attack that secondary of Philadelphia. I can't get off the +3.5. This is +3, +2.5. I'm out. +3.5, man. I had to do it.
Yeah, I don't really blame you one bit here. And here's a fun one for you. Just go ahead, find that. He hasn't done it this year, but the long Tutu Atwell touchdown could be coming here. The Eagles are going to pay a ton of attention to Devontae Adams and Puka, and they don't have anybody else, man. Tutu Atwell's going to get behind somebody. I could see him getting his highest usage of any game this season, so maybe that's more of a play. You could play the over longest reception and parlay it with an anytime TD, or maybe go with him on DraftKings or something like that. But I could absolutely see him having a big one here. And then I have the Packers -7.5. I think it's at 8.5 now as we record this. Will not surprise me at all to see it close at like 9. I just have faith that they're going to get it done here. Yeah, you'd love it to be 6. I mean, really 5.5, but yeah, even 6.5 be a little bit nicer than the 7.5 here. Is that the only reason you went off it again? Just kind of the numbers game there. You didn't want to lay more than a touchdown.
Yeah. With this particular contest, the higher the number, the less comfortable I am. I love Green Bay. I think they probably, in the end, they'll probably win by 20 points. But I'm just trying to limit my exposure to those big ones because they're tough, man.
Yeah, it's one of those when it rains, it pours. We kind of ran into that issue last week in Baltimore playing the Browns. In any trepidation about laying the 5.5 with Atlanta, I just fear the backdoor cover. I'm not going to be taking Carolina to win in any of my pick'em leagues, but we've definitely seen Carolina have this profile since the second half of last season where they managed to kind of just hang around and make it interesting at the end. So it wouldn't surprise me to see them, get it within 3 or 4 points, but still, I think the 5.5 is fair, but if it climbed any higher, I would probably have definitely bailed. That was probably the last one out for me when I was doing these. It was them or San Francisco.
Yeah, I mean, I've already gotten burned backdoor twice. So it's a real thing. To me, I just think with Carolina having some injuries and clusters now with losing both the center and the guard on that offensive line, how good Atlanta's pass rush and defense looked on Monday Night Football against a young quarterback, albeit not as young as Bryce Young in the league, but still, I just expect them to be able to kind of put together another dominating performance on defense, and then offensively, I really think they can control the clock with their run game, do enough in the passing game to win this one by say 7 to 10 points.
I'm generally with you there. It's just that last, they again last week they got me on the back door against
Oh
Arizona.
yeah,
So,
oh yeah,
I'm
no,
just
I know.
maybe a little bit gun shy. They got me enough last year that you just figure a team is what it is. And, the Falcons were that team not long ago where that's what they won a couple games early in the year and then they screw everything up at the middle, but they would always find a way at the end to get like within a field goal basically. And then they would either win or blow it. And it was always interesting when they did so. And I'm on the 49ers minus 2.5. I'm okay with that, even if it's McCorkle Jones. Again, Arizona has been just fine. They almost gave it up to the Panthers last week. They struggled to put away the Saints in week 1. I just don't have a lot of faith in this team, man. I don't know what it is. I think they're fine, but I think the 49ers are just a better coach team with more talent. They're at home. They're feeling pretty good right now. Absent Ayuk and maybe Purdy, it's about as healthy as they're going to be. Sounds like Trent Williams will be out there, so I'm willing to take the chance there. You worried at all that Zona can take over the upset here, or are you feeling decent about San Francisco at least?
I feel pretty good about San Francisco. I mean, you're right. I think they'll take a lead in this game, but they just can't close, man. They just can't close, and I think San Francisco's got enough. They know each other pretty well. It's a division game. I expect them to bring it here, no matter who's playing quarterback.
Yeah, one for Arizona, one of Marvin Harrison Jr. or James Conner needs to step up then for them to really have a shot here. Can't be all Trey McBride. They're not giving Trey Benson enough work. And yeah, it was nice to see what it was when Michael Wilson had 2 short touchdowns or whatever last week. Like they have to get Connor or Harrison going. There's no way around that. 49ers are going to put the ball in Christian McCaffrey's hands until he falls over at this point. So as long as he's healthy, go ahead and ride him. And then you are riding the Steelers, man. You're riding the Tomlin train. Just 1.5, you feel like they're going to win enough set, or is it more complex than that?
Yeah, I think you're getting as close to a money line as you can, and I think they're going to win. I like them. I think the line should be closer to 3, so I had to take advantage of it.
I mean, they got the Boss, right? The leg of the Boss should get you to the 3 all by itself. I
Yep.
mentioned Atlanta minus 5.5, and Carolina was kind of the last one out that didn't make my card. What was the last game off the sheet for you? The one that almost made it on?
Green Bay. I wanted to take them, but in the end, I settled for Carolina with the smaller number.
Yeah, I'd say I just kind of like Green Bay. I just made the decision. I'm like, all right, I think they're going to win by double digits. So I just kind of locked them in. Maybe it's a kiss of death. It
They
not
probably
work last
will.
week when we said Denver was the easiest pick on the board for us. For you, who was the easiest call on the card? The first one on your card.
Believe it or not, it was Dallas because I just think they're going to win, and I get the -1 number. I'm basically getting it at money line. It just to me, it made it a no-brainer.
Yeah, so we'll see. We've been in alignment the last couple of weeks. It's not worked out so great when it comes to this. But again, there have been some crazy games here, and that's why we love the NFL. Is the gift and the curse of it. So many of these games come down to just one bounce here, one play here, one penalty. How many kicks have we seen hit the upright this season? It feels like every time I would turn on the red zone, some dude's just banging it off the upright, man. And it's been one of those years. Like luckily in Survivor, it's worked out in our favor, but so far on the wagering side, it feels like it's working against us. So we'll see how it all evens out in the end.
Absolutely. Well, get ready because we're about to put it all on the line with Paula's picks. Mills, please straight up tell everybody how this works and how we did last week.
We're doing a thing with money lines and Paula Abdul. We each started out the season with 1,000 cricket coins. Each week we have to wager between 10 and 50% of our bankroll on our favorite money line of the week. So that's it, one wager, all on the money line. At the end of the year, we're going to see who wins and also how this compares to how we would have done if we were putting the same kind of wagers on the spread as opposed to the money line. As the season goes along, the margins will change. We will be allowed to bet a little bit more as each third of the season progresses. Whoever has the most coins at the end wins. If you hit zero at any point, you could in the final third, but you can wager up to 100%. You automatically lose. Last week, JBG, we were quite similar. I had 300 cricket coins on the Cowboys money line at minus 230. You had 250 coins on the Cowboys line at minus 230. So I took home a little bit more profit than you. I was up about a buck 30. You were up about a buck 09 there. So on the season, I currently have about 1,194 cricket coins, while you have about 1,314 cricket coins. So that puts you in the lead. This week, you have to wager somewhere between 131 and 100 and 657 cricket coins on your favorite money line. Who are you going with?
I'm putting 358 coins, 358 on Atlanta money line. It's minus 238. The Carolina at Carolina there, the spread as we talked about is minus 5.5. I'm putting the 358 coins on to win a cool 150 bucks back here. I'll win 508 and a little bit of change on the way back here. So I just like Atlanta to get it done here against Carolina. And so having a little conviction, it was kind of that happy medium of how far do I want to go with a terrible spread. 238 was about it. But I'm able to risk basically half of my money here to win back a quarter of it. So to me, that's the decision I made. So 358 on Atlanta money line, 358 coins to win back 508.
I like how you went with the very specific 358 too. That was nice. You're probably just going to win 150, or was that like your lucky number?
No, no, no. I just wanted a round number to win
I
back.
see
So
people like everything's got to end in a seven or something like that. So sometimes people have their quirks with stuff like that. I went through a similar process. At the end, I wound up doing almost the same thing as you. I put 300 cricket coins on the Falcons money line, minus 238. They're 5.5 point favorites, so 300 to bring home a total of about 426. So bringing back about 126 coins in profit. I started out. I'm like, all right, I'm just going to bang the max on the Green Bay money line, but that's minus 455. So I wound up having to risk $600 to basically make about that same 125 coins. So after thinking about it for a while, it basically came down to, do I feel like the Packers are twice as likely to win as the Falcons? And like you, I feel good enough about the Falcons. I don't know if I love the 5.5, but on the money line here, I felt confident with it. So instead of basically putting almost 600 on the Green Bay money line, I decided to go with the 300 on the Atlanta money line and bring back about the same amount of profit here without risking quite as much. So, we'll see how this works out. Last week it worked out that we were, on the Dallas money line, not the spread, because we both would have lost had we bet on the spread. So Paula was doing us good last week, man. Let's see if she can keep it up.
I didn't win 5 batting titles because it was fun.
Right.
I won it because I wanted to be the best. Do you see what I'm saying?
Nah, not really, man.
There's nothing more fun than winning. So come on, drink up. I'll have one with you.
Nice. All right, let's do it, Boggs. Let's drink.
Cheers.
buy the plane ticket, pack a suitcase full of beer, and open up your favorite sportsbook app because, baby, it's time to bet it like Boggs. Now, if you think you can outdrake Wade Boggs on a cross-country flight, you can't. So just let's get over that. But what you can do is you can bet like him.
Oh, Boggs. We love the Boggs here. And yes, Wade Boggs is still alive. Don't worry about that. We honor Boggs by doing a thing with player props here, a little baseball. We have 3 wagers, really wind up being 4 wagers because the 4th one's a parlay. You have a single, a double, a triple, and then the home run, which is a 3-leg parlay with our single, double, and triple. We put 185 points at risk overall, 100 on the single, 50 on the double, 25 on the triple, and 10 on the home run parlay. Last week, I went 1 for 4, finished up down 83 cricket coins. I hit the CeeDee Lamb 8+ receptions, missed on the Puka Nacua receiving yards, and Drake made 3+ touchdown passes. He had 2 right away in like the second quarter. I was sure that one was coming in. She did not, so then I missed on the parlay. JBG, you also went 1 for 4, but you wound up 60 coins, so you hit your double. Travis Etienne, 60 plus rushing yards. You missed on your single there, the Derrick Henry anytime touchdown. It was so easy at the minus 230 or whatever it was. And you just missed on the CD Lamb, 120 plus yards. Quite close on that one. On the season, I am down 268 coins to the Boggs. You're down about 125 coins. So you have the honor. Step up to the plate here. Single, double, triple, knock it out of the park. Bet it like Boggs.
Can't wait. 100 cricket coins on the single here. Going to Bijan Robinson on 80 plus rush yards. It's minus 110. I saw enough on Monday Night Football against Minnesota. I love Bijan Robinson in this offense. I think he gets the 80 plus here. And I love it at the number, minus 110. So good number there. 100 cricket coins to win 190 back. My dub, Mills, I'm taking a backup quarterback here. I am putting 50 coins on Jake Browning to have 2+ pass touchdowns. They're going to air the football out. He's got 2 great wide receivers. Plus, he can throw it to Chase Brown. There's a tight end in there somewhere. He's got options, baby. I'm putting 2 touchdown passes. Jake Browning. It's plus 119. Again, I thought this was really good value. 50 coins there to win back 109. And then my trip, I'm going all the way up to Seattle because I love JSN. I'm putting 25 coins on Jackson Smith Najigba, 110 plus receiving yards. I think he can run absolutely wild on this New Orleans defense. It's plus 391. Really great number there. 25 coins to win back 122 cricket coins, baby. Now for my Grand Slam home run, well, maybe it's not a home Grand Slam, but for my home run, I'm putting all 3 of those on a 3-leg parlay. That comes out to plus 1,952. So 10 coins on that to win back 205.
Yeah, you can't say Grand Slam because then we have Major League Baseball and Denny's after us. And I mean, you could maybe handle, fighting off one of the two, but both of their powers combined, a little bit too much for us. And I know you always want to call it Jake the Snake. How about Jake the Rake? Never heard of a Jake the Rake, dude. You're just going to bring your money back, dude. You're just going to be raking it with Jake. Jake
Love
the
it.
Rake. That's what we're going with. For my single, I am going to go with the Rook, Tetaroa McMillan, 80 plus receiving yards. I put 100 cricket coins on that at plus 160. 100 coins to bring back 260. He is the focal point of that Carolina offense. Bryce Young's going to throw it up to him. That defense is bad. He's going to get a lot of targets. I think this one happens pretty easily. I was tempted to go even higher, but I like the plus 160 for the 80. My double, I'm going to go to the end zone here. I'm going to put 50 cricket coins on Tucker Kraft to be an anytime touchdown scorer. That is plus 200. 50 coins to bring back 150 coins. No Jaden Reed, so that makes Kraft easily the best receiving option in the red zone for them. He's looking really good, man. One of my favorite tight ends. We're talking about on the Dynasty show on the 9 guys. He might be the tight end 5 in Dynasty right now. I love that number there, the plus 200 for the anytime. For my triple, I'm going to bet on Jake raking it. I'm going to put 25 coins on Jamar Chase to have 120 plus receiving yards. That is plus 563, so 25 coins to bring back about 166. To knock it out of the park, you parlay those 3 together. McMillan, 80 plus receiving yards. Kraft, anytime TD scorer. Jamar Chase, buck 20 plus receiving yards. Your odds are plus 5,071, so a 10 cricket coin wager brings you back about 517 coins. That is none too shabby. All of this seems possible, but of course it does. And if it doesn't seem possible when you're making the wager, maybe don't make the wager. That's what things you learn when you're drinking on a plane, losing money to Wade Boggs.
Love it. Good find on that. That is nice juice there, brother. Go ahead and press play on your VHS copy of House Party and turn up the genuine, baby, because it's time for some floor play. Mills, please tell us everything we need to know about floor play.
Well, I mean, you floor play the car, and then you have the pony. I mean, Genuine would say you take the pony and not the car, but we'll let a kid play in Genuine work that one out. Look, there's never really a safe thing when you're betting, especially in football, but the idea here is we're going to try to start out with a roll, bet it fairly conservatively over the course of the season, see how we can do. Once again, we are starting with 1,000 cricket coins. Each week, we have to wager 50% of our bankroll on our favorite floor wager here. That's any single wager that is minus 150 odds or shorter. Whoever has the most coins at the end of the season is triumphant, like the Wu-Tang Clan. Last week, I had about 563 coins on the Ravens alternate spread, minus 3.5. I didn't really need to go there. They took it down on the regular spread, but I still brought home a profit of about 164 coins. Jamie G, you had the same thing, 563-ish coins. You put them on the Zona money line. Had to sweat it a little bit at the end, but that was minus 290. You took it down, so you turned a profit of about 194 coins. On the season, my roll is about 1,291 coins, and you're at about 1,321 coins. So we are both up here, but you are in the lead. This week, you got to wager half your stack, so it's 660.41 cricket coins. What are you putting it on for the floor play?
Yeah, buddy, I am putting it on 660.41 coins on Green Bay on an alternate spread, minus 2.5 at Cleveland. That's minus 373. So 660.41 coins to win back 837.41 coins. Let's go. I bought it all the way down, Mills. Bought it all the way down.
Well, it's funny you did because, of course, we don't tell each other what we're going to do on these at a time. It is a competition. I wound up in a very, 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 very similar place. I had to wager 645.40 coins, and I put it on Green Bay alternate spread, but I went to 3.5. I was slightly more bold than you. I got the 3.5 at minus 247. So if I hit that, I turned my 645 into about 906 coins. So if I could hit that one, I think I would pull slightly in the lead just by a touch. But I don't think every week this should be, you take the chalk money line or you take the alternate spread, but I feel so good about them winning here. Yes, you could have been a little bit less aggressive, but the idea here is it's a floor play. You're being a little bit extra conservative on this one. Again, you never want to say, oh, we should win this every week, but the idea is like, yeah, you really should at the odds you're getting here. So we'll see how we do, but we're both big Packers fans this week. So go Bills, go Birds, go Pack, I guess.
Yeah, and I think we'll both win this, but you're right, man. Nothing worse than losing something when you're giving up minus 200 or 300 odds. So definitely like what you did there. Price is right at me just a little bit, but that's all good. With the floor play out of the way, it's time to take a chance by going long. Mills, did we connect on any of our long shots last week?
No, we did not. And we're just trying to have, a little bit of fun with it here, but also, in a way where we can conceivably win a couple bucks. Each week we have 100 cricket coins each to wager. You can do single wagers if you want, have to be a minimum of 25 coins, a maximum of 100 here. So it's up to you how you want to do it if you're doing single wagers, or you can throw it all in a single parlay, 2 to 4 legs, minimum odds for a parlay must be plus 500. Most cricket coins at the end of the year wins. And we'll see here again, this is the opposite of the floor play. Instead of trying to win slowly and steadily every week, we're kind of happy just to take a big win once in a while. Last week I went big with the Hunter Henry 2+ anytime touchdown scorer. He did not score any touchdowns, so it wouldn't have mattered if he got one, but still got zero. Didn't feel good. I lost my 100 coins. Jamie G, you almost got there. You went with a little bit of a money line parlay with the Jaguar spread thrown in, but the Denver money line gotcha. You hit 3 of 4 legs, but that's the parlay life, man. You got to hit them all. So you also are down 100. So we each 0 for 2 on the season here, each down 200 coins. I will go first. I'm going to go with a 3-leg single game parlay here in that Seattle New Orleans game. Leg number 1, I've got Jackson Smith in Jigba 70+ receiving yards. That is minus 103 on its own. Leg number 2, Jamie G's guy, Juwan Johnson, tight end for the Saints, 50+ receiving yards. That's plus 127. He has easily been the second most targeted guy in their offense, and the Seahawks have been not great at covering the tight end, so that looks pretty good for him. And then finally, third leg, we're going to take Seattle on the alternate spread, get it down to minus 3.5. That is minus 215. So you put those 3 legs together, your odds are plus 550, 100 cricket coins to bring back about 650 coins. I mean, Jamie G's got to like that. It's got your guy JSN in there. You got your guy Juwan Johnson. I mean, I didn't custom make this for you, but you're welcome to jump on the train if you would like. Who are you going along with this week?
Yeah, definitely like that one. Good call in there. I got something a little bit similar here. Doing a 3-leg parlay, my damn self. Leg 1, I've got Puka Nacua, 80+ receiving yards. Again, I think how you attack that Philadelphia defense is through the passing game. I like Puka. It could be a Puka around and find out type of game here. So 80+ receiving yards. That's plus 108 on its own. Leg 2, I'm going to Bijan. Do you have any gray Bijan? Yes, I do. I have Bijan Robinson, 120+ rushing and receiving yards. Love the combo here because he's so effective in the passing game. He's He's effective in the running game. He's literally their offense kind of runs through him. Love that. That's plus 123 on its own. And then leg three, we're both doing a Seattle thing here. I got Sunshine, Sam Darnold, 210 plus passing yards. It's minus 132. I think he gets there, especially if Jackson Smith-Njigba is going to have 70 plus. Sam Darnold ought to get 210 plus in there. So that's minus 132. Combine them all together, we've got plus 715 odds here. So 100 cricket coins, two win back, 815. Hit this one, Mills. I'm up over 600 bucks on the season. I can live with that.
Hey, that's all that matters. At the end of the day, you are in the green, and that's the point of this. You can't make parlays every week expecting to hit them all. You just need to do it in a way so if you only hit one or two, you still turn a profit.
This is it, baby. This is the end of the road, our grand finale. We saved the best for last. You're welcome. It is time for our big boy bets, our absolute favorite wagers for the week 3 Sunday games. Mills, how did we do last week?
Much like week one, a mixed bag. We were 1-1 in week one, 1-1 in week two. I missed mine, so I'm down 250 coins last week. Went with the Trevian Henderson, 40 plus rushing yards. Right after we recorded, there was all this scuttlebutt about how the Patriots were going to change up the running back rotation. I was like, oh man, this is going to go even better than I thought. And they changed it up by getting Ramondre Stevenson more involved in the passing game and giving more work to Antonio Gibson. So yeah, that was a big one for me. I'd heard it had been a lot of my dynasty lineup, so that was no fun. Jamie G, you had some fun with a rookie. You went with Tyler Warren over 44.5 receiving yards. He might have got there in the first half. Didn't have to sweat that one out. That was nice. So you had 250 coins on that. Turned a profit of 219 coins. So good job there. Overall, in the season, we're both slightly in the red. You're down about 31 coins. I am down about 65 coins. That gives you the honor of being the first one to get back in the green this week, baby. Who are you going with your big boy bet?
Yeah, Mills, I got to do it. I still think the Birds win this one, but I got to do it. I'm putting 250 cricket coins on Matthew Stafford, 230 plus passing yards. Again, if they're going to have a chance in this game, he's going to have to throw the football, and that's how you, I think, attack Philadelphia's defense. I just 230 plus passing yards here. It's plus 101. That's 250 to win back 502.
Yeah, you can pass on the Eagles, man, and that's kind of what they do. I don't trust Kyron Williams to really compile that much, especially if it's not a real positive game script, so I like that. I'm just going to stick with what I know here. I'm putting my 250 cricket coins on Jackson Smith-Njigba, 70 plus receiving yards, minus 103, 250 to bring back about 493. He is by far the focal point of that offense. The Saints don't really have anyone there that can cover him straight up. Darnold likes to lock onto his primary guys. Of course, this will probably be welcome to Cooper Kupp, 17 receptions or something absolutely wacky here. Or maybe like last week, Puka got the big rush instead of the receiving yards. But all things aside, Jackson Smith-Njigba was averaging like 110 receiving yards per game. I feel really good about this one. Never should feel like a mortal lock, but I feel pretty good about this one, just like I do about Jamie G's. And then because we're very close on a couple of these this week, so we're going to put a little additional coin out there for a little tripod time here. It's a 3-leg parlay. Just going to throw 100 coins on these things because we each like them so much. We want to get just a little bit of extra action in. Leg number one, we're taking Jackson Smith-Njigba, just bumping it up to 80 plus receiving yards. That's plus 128. Then we have the Bijan combo, Bijan Robinson, 110 or more receiving plus rushing yards. That is plus 112. And then taking the Green Bay alternate spread, Green Bay minus 2.5, minus 373. Throwing that in there allows us to get over 500. So this is plus 512 if you put all the 3 legs together. So 100 coins to bring back 612 coins because we feel so confident all of these things are happening. You might as well put them all together, and we're just going for it a little bit. So I guess we're going to be watching that Seahawks game.
Yes, we will. And we hope that you're going to stay watching us. We appreciate you being here with us. If you haven't done so yet, go ahead and hit the thumb, like, and subscribe. This will show up in your feed if you do that each and every week so you don't miss any of our plays because we will be here each and every week with you guys, hopefully celebrating a whole bunch of wins, talking about how we got there, and doing the best we can to figure out taking money away from the sports book and putting it back into our pockets. Let us know what you're targeting this week, how you're doing. Show us your bet slips. Let us know if you're tailing any of our picks. Let us know if you got a great one that we didn't discuss. We'd love to hear from you. You can either drop a comment below or Mills will let you know where you can find all of our stuff. Good luck this week. Remember, it's only week 3. Pace yourself, but good luck. Have a blast on Sunday.
And then you should know when you hear him on SportsCenter calling Jake Browning, Jake the Rake in a couple weeks, know that started here. So just for the record, that started here on Bet It, Bank It, Blow It. Once again, we are presented by Seize the Gap Fantasy Football. Find our content wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, on social media at Seize the Gap FF, and on the web at seizethegapff.com. Very simple and easy to remember, just like the flaps, FLAPS. Very important to our success. Follow, like, and please subscribe. If you had fun, please hit that thumb. I'm Magnum Mills. He's Jamie G. We've helped you all we can. I mean, we can help you bet it. We can help you bank it, but
blowing it is up to you.
I'm inside me, the best place to be. Like Sinead O'Connor, nothing compares to me. I'm the best of the best, so I bother with the rest. Wine and dine myself just to get myself undressed. Tell me where I be.
I'm inside me. I'm inside me. I'm like a bear without sheets. No one can cover me, and I'm a lover, baby.